What's up, Bulldogs? All right. I got a special guest for you today. Someone that you may have seen on my channel before. His name is Dan Martell, and he's someone who I consider to be a mentor, especially you guys if you're in the B2B space. But I wanted to talk to Dan today because I've been following his Instagram and his Facebook, and I see him in there, doing the CrossFit every day, the dedication. And I thought this is perfect, to talk about, just how the Bulldog lifestyle of, attacking things, and keeping that physical fitness helps with someone who is an entrepreneur and how that's going to help you guys. So welcome, Dan.
John, dude, A, appreciate you having me on the show. B, love what you put out, man. Like, honestly, everybody watching this, your community, they're lucky to have someone like you leading, guiding, and honestly setting the example, because I know you show up and you put it all out on the field. So that's awesome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I do what I can. So, so yeah. I mean, I've been, seeing you. I mean, you're pretty damn consistent, committed with the CrossFit and everything in fitness. But before we jump into that, just for everyone that doesn't know kind of who you are, maybe if you want to give a little bit of background.
Yeah, I mean, look, people can go online. I've shared my whole life publicly. My dad actually asked me the other day if I've ever Googled myself, which I haven't, because I wouldn't. That's weird, but he has, I guess, and there's a lot of stuff out there. But short version, 17 years old, learning how to write code saved my life. I actually ended up in rehab, ended up in a lot of trouble as a kid, group home, foster home, crisis centers, you name it. Almost took my life, and programming literally saved it because it became my new addiction. So I never had a computer until I discovered this book on Java programming. Yep. And since then, entrepreneurship is really the thing that, when you talk about the Bulldog mindset, it's like, to me, it's personal development, right? So entrepreneurship became the ultimate personal development program, because anytime I wanted to grow in my business, I had to just go look in the mirror and say, who did I need to become to achieve that level? And over the last 20 years, I've been blessed and lucky to have started 5 companies, exited the last 3, became a millionaire when I was 27, invested in 40 other SaaS tech companies like Intercom, Udemy, Hootsuite, Unbounce, and a bunch of others. And today have the pleasure of coaching some of the fastest growing, largest SaaS companies in the world, like ClickFunnels as a client, Carrot.com. I mean, they're just all incredible people. So that is what I do. I have a YouTube channel where I teach business strategies. And I have 2 little boys, Max and Noah, they're 4 and 5. And my wife, Renee, is my best friend. And that's who I am, man. I'm a family guy. I like to drive hard. I like to, I spend most of my time trying to do things that brings me to the edge of possibility. So I just got back from snow biking and heli skiing out west. I've got rally car racing coming up. I've got some kiteboarding. I mean, that's just me. So CrossFit I do just to maintain my athletic abilities to be able to do the other stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. It's really cool to see. I was just going to ask what you're doing now, but that sounds really interesting. So you're doing mostly the consulting on the SaaS businesses and the right now.
Yeah, I don't really consult. I'm an exec coach. So when people like, honestly, if somebody's growing and they want to grow faster, I get the call, right? I only work with B2B software companies because I know where I can add the most value. And I have a very strict filter for who I work with because, it's very personal for me. I don't have to coach. I really enjoy it. And then the rest of my time, I have a program where I work with at-risk youth, helping them build their confidence through building businesses. And I manage my portfolio of investments. And honestly, my days spent talking to people like yourself, guys that want to 10x their life, that are building cool things. And it just happens to be, I think my wife's trying to sneak upstairs. Renee, if you want to come up, I can hear her like crawling up the stairs into my office. You can come up and say hi to everybody. All right, she's coming out. There she is. Meet Renee. She's also a hardcore CrossFitter. You want to talk about Bulldog mindset? This lady right here. Hey. So we're live. This is John.
I know John.
Oh, you know John. There's Renee. And this is my Facebook friends.
Cool.
But yeah, so that is what I do today. And she keeps me well fed and focused.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's awesome that you can do that, and to be able to do, a lot of times I talk to I do coaching for entrepreneurs, and they're in that more of the beginning phase, and I'm telling them how, like, someday you can get to the point where, I mean, you got to put in the hustle, but you can get to the point where you can, everything you're doing is just, it's what you enjoy doing. You can talk to people, and I like that. That's kind of a lot of what I do now, as well, is just doing the stuff that is really fun to me now, and it's I love it. It's awesome,
dude. That's the ultimate, right? When we can actually design our days to do activities that bring us energy, like, that's the crazy part. Like, I love talking to you, dude. You know me, man. I can't shut up. Like, I organize dinners, I go to events. I'm like talky, and that is, like, technically work. I mean, my dad still doesn't understand it. The other day he called me and FaceTimed me. I'm on the edge of a pool overlooking La Jolla. We actually rented a house, me and 6 of my clients, to essentially do our end of year planning last November. And he calls me on FaceTime. He's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, technically I'm working." And he's like, "But you're in a pool." I go, "I know, but see those 2 guys sitting on the edge of the pool? Those are clients, aka friends, and we're doing end of year strategy planning. So that's work." And dude, I mean, I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I think what the interesting thing about it too is, I think a lot of people have that message, right? And I agree with it. Just like you're saying, it's like they go where the energy is, and basically the things that light you up. But it comes at the later stage. I think it's interesting, because the guys that are just starting out now, the entrepreneurs, they hear that message sometimes, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I can just,"
they front load it.
Yeah, you can't do that yet.
It's earned. People don't get it, man.
Exactly.
You got to earn it. Like, I just feel like people, it's like they want to go to the gym and lift heavy, and they can't even lift light. Like, I mean, it's a muscle. It's got to be developed. It's got to be built. You got to earn it. It's like if I gave somebody $10 million tomorrow, like 3 years from now, they're going to have 0.
Yeah.
Why? Because they didn't learn how to earn it. So they're not the type of person that can manage a $10 million asset. And I don't know how to explain that. You can move fast through that learning cycle if you do smart things, but you can't skip it. And because if anything, you'll just end up worse than where you started.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think of it as the whole, like, the steroids thing, right? It's like, you look at, someone like Arnold, love Arnold, but when he got off the juice, what happened?
Did he do steroids?
Oh yeah, way back. I mean, but everyone who's professional, had to in the days. But when someone comes off of that, they lose everything, because they don't have the ability to maintain that, because they were using something to get there. And it's the same thing, like you said. Like, if you give someone $10 million, it's going to be like giving them steroids. Like, they're not going to be able to have. They don't have the thing that can actually generate that, and so it's going to disappear. But yeah, it's interesting how many people don't realize that. Like, and again, the same thing. Like, a lot of entrepreneurs that have been around for a while, they say, "Oh, I wish I wouldn't have worked as hard when I was younger." I'm like, no, that's what you think now. That's great now, but back then you had to hustle.
To me, it's that quote, John. The act today like others won't, so you can live a life like others can't. Yeah. Like that. Even today, man. Like, people. A friend of mine came over for dinner the other night with his family. We're going on a kiteboarding trip, and he goes, "Are you busy?" And I said, "Hey, Eve, I don't not do busy. I wake up at 5 a.m. and every minute of every freaking day is literally, I kind of think of it as like 3 days in one, like pretty much 5 to 11, 11 to 5, and 5 to when I go to bed. And I want to squeeze as much juice out of it, not because I have to anymore,
right?
Because I want to do hard things. Yeah. I want to walk through life with a sense of urgency. I want to see how much I can produce. I want to see how much how many people I can serve. How big of an example can I be for a lot of the kids that are in the position? Because to me, that's why people are like, "What's the thing you're most proud of?" It's not the business success. Mm-hmm. It's, I did that just to be an example for the kids that were like me. Because when I was 17, there was no guy like me that showed up at a rehab center to talk. 0.
Right.
I don't even know. Like, literally, it was all these people showed up in my life that I'm here because, like, where I'm at today because of those people. But to me, the business is really just a way to kind of get their attention. And, and it sucks, like the fancy car and all that stuff. So, I do show up, rolling in some cool wheels, but that's only to get their attention so they listen.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's a really good point. That's what I think that's a lot of people eventually find. Everyone's after kind of the goals, but the goals are the thing that forces you to move forward to grow as a person. It's not the goal that actually is the valuable thing in the end. And it's sometimes it's disillusioning to discover that, but then that's the message, right? That's the thing. It's like, and but people who haven't been through that won't realize
Dude,
that.
I don't think I would have been able to understand it even. You know, that whole
Yeah.
like destination versus journey. It's probably 6 years ago that I finally really got it. Right. Where I'm like, oh, it's the journey every day that's interesting and fun, not the outcome that you think you're chasing.
Yeah. Once you get close to, I feel like once you get close to getting everything that you really want, then that's when you have that revelation. Cause then you're like,
dude, and it's another step of growth, right? Cause now
Yeah.
all of a sudden you've got the things that you thought you wanted. And then how do you keep that energy? How do you keep that drive, that passion, that motivation, right? Like that's like a lot of my clients at the higher end, I had a client, they hit 12 million in ARR. The guy's doing 60% net profit, software business out of Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got he flies private, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I did the thing I never thought I would do. Now what?
Right. Yeah.
But then for me, it's like, all right, dude, it's time to contribute because you got no contribution in your life. You have no why. You're not serving, right? You're all about success. Now we need to flip it up one level because that's, to me, where the real fulfillment comes from. So there's always the next level for everybody, anybody, from Richard Branson to Mark Zuckerberg, et cetera. And I just think that's the coolest part. It's being on that journey and never stopping.
So let's talk about the fitness aspect of it, because I think that is part of it too, right? One of the things that I realized, and even like yourself, myself, Richard Branson, right? I mean, a lot of successful people, heck, Jeff Bezos now, they end up, yeah, I know he's jacked, right?
Yeah,
like that's a pretty awesome transformation. But I think that's one place we go as well. Is that how do you feel like what keeps you going? Like, why do you have this fitness element, in your life? Would you feel like it contributes as an entrepreneur for the energy? And
dude, I would like, here's the way I think about it is,
okay.
Attention goes, or energy flows where attention goes. I want the most energy. Energy is a byproduct of my physical being. My mindset is a byproduct of the physicality. I know that if I work out in the morning, right? And I kind of work out twice. I get up in the morning, I have a routine. There's some physical stuff to it to prime my mind, not because I'm working out, just literally because my brain, I have ADHD, prescribed Ritalin when I was 11, and really mess with me until I learned to self-medicate naturally through routines and rituals. So to me, the physical component is not about looking good or actually competing in like athletic endeavors. Those things that I do, and I do compete in CrossFit Opens and like Spartan races and all that stuff, is really just to test the limits.
Right.
But for me, the physical component is the mental game, man. I love when I wake up at 5 a.m. on a Sunday morning to go running when it's -20 outside.
Yeah.
All I think to myself is I need to do things that most people won't.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm literally doing shit that most people won't. I know if you grabbed 100, like it may be weird, but if you grab 100 people in my city and you like how many people woke up at 5 a.m. on Sunday morning when they didn't have to, when they could have slept and went out for a run in -20 weather when anybody would give themselves a pass or an excuse. And I know that I did it. That energy and belief and mindset shows up into the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of my life, right? And it's why I can go 13 podcast interviews starting at 6:45 in the morning and go till 6 p.m. and not skip a beat.
Exactly.
Because of that, the physicality, the body. Dude, it's like the other day I posted on Instagram, if you're asking me productivity tips and you don't eat clean at lunch, like, what the dumbest question in the world is asking me, like, how do you manage your time, Dan? And you ate nachos and wings for lunch.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no amount of Pomodoro getting things done that's going to resolve the fact that your body is pissed off at you and feels sluggish.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. And I mean, and that's, I think, that's the Bulldog mindset right there. That's why I wanted to have you on also as well, is because I feel like that's so critical. It's like you start with that, like you said, doing hard shit, right? That's difficult, pushing yourself to do things other people won't do. And then it really, the physical way is the best way to do that, because you know where the limits are there.
You can wake up tomorrow and decide. You can't wake up tomorrow and have a business. If you don't have a business, you can't wake up tomorrow and have a business. But you can decide tomorrow what time you wake up and what do you do in the first hour. Exactly. And if you own that, man, that sets up the rest of the day.
Yeah, it does. It totally does. And if you can do, I always talk about like, if you can do that kind of hard shit, if you can go, and fast and run a marathon, or, come to some of the kind of crazy shit that I do.
Take a cold shower, man. I take a cold shower every day after CrossFit. I don't have to. I can wait an extra minute for it to warm up. I don't want to.
Right.
I don't want to teach my brain that that's okay to just sit there and wait for comfort. It's not, I don't know. That's just not me. I'm not built that way. I don't want to be built that way. I want to be willing to dig down deep and drive.
Well, it develops that, like you said, like that mindset, so that all the other things in life seem easier. When you're forcing yourself to do hard stuff, then the other stuff becomes easier.
Well, you know what's funny, John, is I was listening. I stopped listening to it because I'm a big proponent of allowing myself to have spoken words over me, right? I think that you own the content you consume. So I'm listening to this podcast, James Altucher, and it's about depression.
Okay.
Dude, I don't really get depressed. I don't know. It's not something I can connect with or resonate. I know that it happens. Most of the kids that I work with have forms of depression, but I just think that it's something. And maybe I'm wrong. I mean, this could be controversial, but whatever. I just think that it's really tough. It's kind of like that movie, The Girl. She's like, it's really tough to be depressed if you work out or angry or whatever. It's like, what's her name? Legally Blonde, right? She says the closing argument. And people that work out are not angry, so she didn't shoot her husband. And I'm just like, Anyway, so I just think that a lot of it is a byproduct of the physicality and the mindset. Like, like happiness, right? Like just, contentment, drive.
Well, I think too, like, I agree with you. I think a lot of it is a mindset. And I've discovered, because sometimes I'll go through a little bit of a bout of depression. And I know that if I start busting ass and working as hard as I can, I will feel great. But it's the last thing I want to do when I'm feeling that way. And I think that's like that constant staying busy, the constant pushing yourself. A lot of people get concerned. They're like, oh, you're going to burn yourself out, or like, this isn't healthy.
Dude, those people, I keep them at distance. Like, stay away. Like, those are the people where I'm like, I'm going to go hang out with my buddy that makes me feel lazy.
Yeah, exactly.
You think I might burn myself out? My buddy Matt ran 250-mile race. Okay. That guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go hang out with him because that's possibility. Like,
exactly.
So, I'm really careful of the people I allow into my space because of their beliefs. And I don't want them to inadvertently kind of like, they're just not true. The human, dude, we both know that whatever hard we train, there's still like another 60%. Honestly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We know there's more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's crazy. I was, I did. I don't know if you sounds like you probably read David Goggins' book, The Can't Hurt Me, right?
Any book that sounds great, I've read. 1,000+ books.
Yeah, but yeah, I remember when I was first running. I was one day. In fact, I listened to Jesse Itzler's book.
That's where I first heard that concept, was Living with a SEAL.
Yeah.
But Goggins' audiobook is world class. Like, everybody needs to listen to that book. And don't be so friggin' hurt on your feelings if you hear an F-bomb or two, because they're going to come left, right, and center.
Yeah, but it's truth. It's real. It's genuine. This is what the guy, and it's such a, that was the book that first caused me, the Living with a SEAL, that after I listened to that, I was running like a 10-mile run. And the next day I ran a full marathon because I was like, I can do, like, it's just, I realized it was just, I was a wuss. I thought I was tough, but I wasn't tough. Like, these guys, we ran a 135-mile race up in the desert in the 120-degree heat up a mountain. That's crazy shit. Like, that's like, if I, our limits are way beyond.
People are like, I don't know how you work out every day or sweat every day. I'm like, that's nothing. Like, right. Let's be honest. Like, you guys think it's hard because maybe you don't do anything, but I know, and like, I train with guys that are, they're doing 2 or 3 CrossFit workouts a day, and like, I just show up and try to put it out all on there and like my one workout. So I don't know. It is 100% a belief thing. One of my core manifesto beliefs is I got to become the person who can deal. Right. So no matter what level of success I want, I need to ask myself on a daily basis, who do I need to become to have that level, right? It's kind of like in relationships, you hear this often where people are like, I want this kind of person as a partner. And the question you got to ask yourself is, what kind of person would attract that person as a partner? Who do you need to become to attract that quality of person? Just because you want them doesn't mean you are the kind of person that could have them, because if you've got bad habits or you're not a positive person, etc., those things need to get fixed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And that's, I think that's a lot of, I'd say a lot of what drives me is just this idea of like, keep on pushing the boundaries. And then as you grow as a person, like as your capacity increases, what you're able to do increases, like you fill it, but you have to be able to push past those limits and they get to the uncomfortable places. And that's tough. Most people live in a very, very comfortable bubble.
Yeah, it is fascinating, John, when I think of like folks like yourself and people like us. It is the 0.1% of the population. I just accept it now, man. Like I don't, it's just, I don't know. Like I used to be like wanting those other people to, share and figure it out. Now I do like you do. I put out content, and dude, if everybody's watching this, I want you to know, John, if you've seen any of my YouTube videos, John is the reason why. Remember, like John and I had a conversation about YouTube and videos before I ever published a YouTube video. Yeah. And it was a big reason why I ever started my channel. So thank you, man. Publicly, I want to acknowledge you for that. But what I've learned is I'd rather be the lighthouse, not the tugboat, right? Mm-hmm. I want to be the example of possibility to attract people to me that share that belief and value system. Because what I used to do was be the tugboat that would see, a ship off path, my brother, my family member, my friend, and go out there like a tugboat and bounce into them and try to guide them into a better thing. And it's just like, what? That's energetically, like, that's just not great. Instead, I'm just going to, anytime I see something wrong somebody's doing, I literally ask myself one question is, how am I doing in that part of my life? Yeah. Could I do better? So I'm going to go do better. And maybe in that moment, they see that. That's why I share. I believe in living out loud so much. Not for me. It's not for me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Dude, I had my in-laws. Okay. I love them. They might see this. I don't care. I love them. They're amazing people. But they said something about working out, and I just totally disagreed. But I didn't argue with them. Yeah. Lighthouse, not tugboat. They thought they were too old to do CrossFit. I can send them a video where a 92-year-old woman is doing CrossFit because it's about degrees, not kind, right? You can modify it, scale it down. And instead of saying anything, I went on Facebook and I literally shared my thoughts and really to inspire people with possibility. And the cool part is I probably served more people that were ready at that moment to hear that message than taking the negative energy and wasting it by trying to convince somebody that wasn't. So that's the big idea. I think if people are watching, being the lighthouse is just such a better proposition for dealing with those moments where you're frustrated in somebody else's lack of where you have it, and really just double down on yourself and then share it out loud, live out loud publicly to inspire other people that are ready, because they're waiting for it, man. There's people out there that are hungry and they don't have somebody to turn to that looks or talks or behaves like you, and they will resonate with that message. So I know you've done that for hundreds of millions, like literally millions of people, but it's just an easier way to live.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I've been through the same thing with family members, with friends and everything. And it's sad because you feel like you could help them if they would.
You get probably paid a lot of money to help people with those problems. Like, isn't that crazy, dude? I mean, like, I don't have to brag. Like, I'm really good at business. And I have people in my life that want to start business for some reason, never think to turn to me and ask me for advice. And I'm just like laughing because they actually have access. They could
exactly,
me, and I would take the call, the meeting, etc. And again, I'm just going to be a lighthouse, man.
Yeah. I know. I always think to myself, I'm like, man, I wish I knew like an Uncle John or like, or whatever, like when I was growing up that I could, that was a millionaire and was like, entrepreneur. I would just like, I'd be like over there over at his place.
Like, how often can we meet? Let's work through the curriculum, of course.
but that's not how, but again, it's the same thing. It's like the people that are looking, that have that motivation, they will find the way, right? It's not like you have to help them to the path, because I like your lighthouse analogy, because they're looking for the lighthouse and they will find it. They'll be attracted to it. And so, yeah, so I agree with you 100%. I stop wasting my energy like that. Instead, convert it over to videos, to putting out content. In fact, I think
you want to share. Like, that's the thing, is we're the kind of people that want to give. It's just, if we don't learn how to give in a way that doesn't get us jaded, right? Because I did 1,300 Clarity calls. Okay, Clarity is a company I built, platform, advice, Clarity.fm, and I can't tell you, there was moments where I just like, this is crazy. Why am I getting on a phone with a stranger? Even if they're paying me, I don't know if they take action. I don't know what they do with the advice, etc. And what I just shared, 30 minutes of my time, it's gone to that interaction. So that's why, like, I was like, this is not really good leverage, right? I'd rather get on video, get on Instagram, get on social, broadcast that to the world. And at least now there's whatever question somebody's had, my answer's there for them to consume, and it's highly leveraged, and I feel like I'm contributing because it's part of my DNA and my soul. Like, I just believe that we should teach people what we learn, because that is how we evolve, right? Like, the whole human race has evolved because somebody sat down to document a better way to do something, and the next generation got that new foundational platform of elevation, right? Like, I'm a software guy, so these are software frameworks. Like, you write the code to build a new UI framework like Bootstrap, or a programming language like Ruby or Rails. Like, it's anyways, I can nerd out on that stuff, but I just think it's important that if you learn how to do something, it's your responsibility to teach it to other people.
Yeah, 100% agree. And it always comes back to, it's the same thing. I go through the same thing with the coaching too, is it's like, I do coaching, but I charge a really high price because I don't want to, and I filter very much because I don't want to waste, like, every hour that I spend on a one-to-one call is not magnified. It's just only helping that one person, unless they're going to have a platform that's going to, I think that's
well,
really
here's what's happening, John.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've experienced this, but so I do very few private one-on-ones, right?
Yeah.
But when I do, the way I resolve it is me helping that entrepreneur, the CEO of a 120-person company.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I think Ryan Kohler's on here. He runs applicantpro.com. He's one of my coaching clients. 100 and some employees, mostly moms. Okay. He's in Utah. He hires 80% women. I know that when I work with Ryan to up level his leadership abilities, communications abilities, et cetera, that's going to have a ripple effect on his employees, because the founder sets the tone, right?
Yeah.
And especially in Ryan's case with all these moms, like, the mother sets the tone for the household. So personally, I think, yes, I'm serving Ryan. I'm going to help Ryan become even more successful. But the cool part is I'm going to help this whole generation of a community in Utah that will never know my name, hear my words, etc., because I get to work through somebody like Ryan. So, but that only happens when they invest, because people don't pay attention if they don't pay, right? I believe that to my core. I know that for a data point, because I built Clarity. The more people pay, the more they pay attention, and the higher quality person shows up.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I'm not saying like there's no like values judgment on people. When I say quality, I mean eager, hungry, humble, ready. They have an asset that can actually, like, you could quickly help them in an hour, get a huge ROI, just quality.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Oh, by the way, I got to tell you, it's funny. Every time when I meet someone new, one of the questions I work into every conversation is, do you know Dan Martell? And they always do.
What?
I swear, it is so crazy. Any kind of entrepreneurial group or anything, because you've done so many of these, you're so good at networking and doing all these the founder dinners and meetups, and somehow, like, every single person, I just thought this was funny, because I've been testing this lately.
Eastern Canada, that blows my mind.
I suppose most of the places I'm going to, like, most of the people I'm meeting are entrepreneurs and whatnot. So that's probably has something to do with it. But it's just funny. I just started doing this like in the last 6 months or so. I thought I'd share it with you. It's like every conversation.
Maybe you're the reason why people are saying yes, because they say yes, then they search on their phone, and then now more people are getting to know. So I appreciate it. Checks in the mail. I'm not sure how representative of anything that is, but that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. But no, I mean, it's cool because you definitely, I always say that you're the best networker that I know, because
I just literally love people, John. Like,
yeah,
somebody asked me, they're like, what, how do you network? I'm like, I am fascinated and curious about other people. Just there's no bullshitting around that. It's, and I used to not be so extroverted. And I think that's what really shifted for me, is when I suddenly realized that everybody's got a desire that when they talk about it, it lights them up and it fires me up. And when I can discover that, when I can ask a series of questions, even if they're like non-entrepreneurial, like everybody has a dream, right? So like, even if somebody works at the government, I'll like still try to figure out and be like, what did you do as a kid? If you could get paid to do anything, what would it be? Literally anything, flip rocks to dig ditches to lay on the beach. What would it be? And then when you get it, you see them light up. Well, you know what? This is something I've always wanted. It's what I'm doing a little bit at home. And the cool part about building businesses is it just teaches so many cool skills that it's very rare that I meet somebody that has a passion that might not be activated yet, that I can't help either by recommending a book or a resource, et cetera. So that's where it comes from, man. I'm just like genuinely curious and excited for other people to just lean into their passions, period.
Yeah, no, I can tell, I mean, even, the first thing that you do when you come on my channel is you praise me, right? I think that's really cool. Like you give back, like you recognize people. I think that's the thing is like,
John,
I think
that's why the most buff guy I know in tech. Like that's not a fake praise. I mean,
oh no. I'm not saying it's fake. I'm just saying I appreciate it.
No disputing that, man. That's my title for you. I'm like, John Sonmez? They're like, no. And I'm like, oh, let me tell you about John.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. So, what, I was going to ask you about, because I love to geek out on this subject, is books. What are kind of some of the books that
you guys want a good one? Ooh, wait.
All right. Yeah. Let's talk about some good books.
Boom. This right here.
Oh yeah. I haven't gotten that yet. Okay.
Galley copy. So this is my buddy, Todd Herman. Look, if you guys think I'm smart, there's only a handful of people I turn to for big strategic decisions in my life. Todd Herman's one of those people. Luckily, he's a friend, but regardless, I would pay him any amount of money he'd ask to get advice, because he's a genius. I've known of the concept of the alter ego from Todd for years and begged him to write a book, and he finally did it. I bought 500 copies. I got the early galley copy.
Oh, nice.
And loved it so much that I asked him if I could support him in any way possible, and bought 500 copies for my tribe, right? And I think it is going to be a foundational book in the world of business and entrepreneurs and really just personal development, because the concept of your secret identity, the person, it's almost like the Bulldog, you know what I mean? It's like, I think the person that's going to crush it at CrossFit isn't the same person that should show up for his 4 and 5 year old boys.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that what happens is smart people figure out how to separate those two identities. But what Todd gives in this book is the framework to actually define it and to really trigger it, right? So for example, and that's why there's a pair of glasses right there. Todd wears non-prescriptive glasses. I didn't even know this until 3 years ago when he told me. He told me about the alter ego effect, but he never shared that his glasses are actually not real glasses. And his whole thing is that when he wears them, he becomes that, this go-getter driven entrepreneur. But he's got 3 kids, 2 girls and a little boy. And he doesn't want to be that same driven, intense person as a father. And I just think that's so cool. It's like, who do you need to become when you get on the field of play? When your foot lands on that field of play, whatever that is for you, dance, etc. And this is backed by science, guys. That, theater people have been doing, athletes have been doing. Todd works with, the Prince of Dubai to the Spanish royal family to the Brazilian soccer teams. I mean, Todd is a high performing coach. And so I think that's going to be a breakout book. And it literally just dropped 2 days ago. So everybody needs to go get a copy. And then whatever else, John, I didn't want to what other questions around books? Because I read a lot.
Oh no, that's good. I got to get a hold of that one. Actually, I remember seeing you at the conference, at the last one that Todd had in San Diego here, and I remember him talking about the book. So I got to thank you for reminding me. I got to get on that. I really like the concept. It is definitely there's a lot of psychological studies. Submodalities is what is called, like, the psychological term, and everyone has them, and like tapping into those is so powerful of a concept, because you literally, I mean, the clothes that you wear, the way that you feel about yourself controls that certain personalities come out, and having that ability is super, super powerful. So yeah, I really like that concept. But,
cool.
Yeah. What else are you reading?
Here, you want to get another really awesome book? These are like, get that, but
okay.
So I have a stack. I literally have 10 books over there, but this one I think is a must, and I feel like late to the game.
I love that.
So late to the game.
Book. I know. Yeah, it's a great book.
Like, this is a classic. Everybody else has it on their top 5. The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, and I just, for some reason, discovered it like a month ago, and wow, what a great book. So I definitely big fan of that. What am I reading right now? I don't know, man. Like, I'm a big fan of Think and Grow Rich still. Everybody reaches out to me on social and they're like, what book should I read? I'm just starting off. Go get Think and Grow Rich and do it. The book that changed my life, the first book I ever read, and I didn't even read it, I listened to it because I was so not able to read books. Like, I don't think people understand, like, if you actually get into personal development, the whole compound effect, slight edge, you can transform your mind. Like, I couldn't read books before. I now read a lot, right? As an ADHD, blah, 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 pseudo dyslexic. My dad's dyslexic. I never did well in high school. I am an avid reader. And I would say that book that changed my life was Love is a Killer App by Tim Sanders. So shout out to Tim. Literally, that book set the foundation for the rest of my life. Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi really was the foundation for the founders' lunches and dinners that I've hoped you've been part of. If you wanted to read the most pertinent book on that topic, I would say Mastermind Dinners by Jason Gaynard is the book you want to get. Yeah, you want to get that one today because it's way more actionable and shorter, and I think like more modern. I don't know. This isn't live, but if anybody watching, sorry, I've got my live video. Any questions on books, let me know. John, if you've got any other topics you want me to throw at my tops, just let me know, because like I've read over 1,000 books, and to me, it's always like, what's the challenge or thing you want to learn more about today? And I can give you my perspective, but it's tough for me to just say top 5, because I think it's contextual. It's who are you, where you're at, and what do you need to learn?
Yeah. No, it is. And that's like the same thing. I've got this resource of so many books. Actually, there's someone that I should introduce you to if you haven't met him already. He runs a YouTube channel called 2000 Books. My friend Manny, he's actually got a 6-figure book club. Did I
meet Manny at Todd's event? Did we have
yeah, you did. Yeah, because he was there. Yeah, exactly. We had a lunch. Yeah.
Reconnect me though, because I haven't really connected with him since then, and I'd love to.
Yeah, I'll reconnect you. He started this 6-figure book or 7-figure book club, not 6-figure, 7-figure, and he's got a lot of really high level people in there that are. It's like a networking, but it's also like sharing. Everyone that has kind of a love for books, and I think it's pretty cool. It's a really good concept. But
love it.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything? Well, let me ask you. What is there anything that you've got going on that you want people to go check out right now? I mean, obviously, I'll put a link here in the card and in the description. You guys definitely need to subscribe to Dan's YouTube channel. He's got great advice there for anyone that is trying to start a business. A lot of really good topics on there. But anything else that you're doing that you want people to get involved with?
I just finished up my growth stacking summit. So anybody in software, even software curious, definitely like connect. Instagram, same Dan at Dan Martell, or Dan Martell, 2 L's Martell on Instagram and Twitter, etc. But if you're in the software space specifically, check me out on YouTube, as John, you mentioned, because that is the area. 80% of things I teach are fundamental growth scale business strategies, but that 20% is 100% deep on, software building, selling, servicing, churn challenges, scale, leadership, et cetera. A lot of people download my Rocket Demo training. So Dan Martell, martell.com/Rocket Demo. It's how to do a product demo, a sales conversation around software that allow people to close twice as many deals in half the time. I heard it's now being taught at HubSpot to their account execs, which I thought was pretty crazy because I created it for founders, but now it's kind of like entering the software sales community. But that is it, man. Like I honestly, like if you're on my email list, when I do, these events that are open to the public, I announce them that way. They're super private. I make them hard for people to even know about them because I only want the right people to show up in the room. Exactly. People that know me and want to learn from me, not just because somebody told them to go. And other than that, I'm speaking at Traffic and Conversion Summit on the 20th.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'll be at TNC, speaking at LTV Conf in New York in March. And I've got a few other, I'm starting to say yes to more speaking requests. So if you're on my email list, I usually share that way. And this year I'm traveling with my videographer and doing a new interview series on my YouTube channel with all the badass speakers that are also at those events. Cause I feel like I have a certain level of questions that never get asked that I want to start asking. You know what I mean? Like, John, there's always like the softball questions, but like you, man, we went deep. We didn't talk about like, it's like, Dan, I follow you. So like, these are people I know well that will just skip all this stuff and go right into the hard questions. Right.
Yeah. I like it.
And I'm excited to start that. So we're kicking that off. We'll probably post first episode in mid-March and then kind of every 2 weeks from there. So yeah, this year I'm just trying to ramp up my content game, add more value to the community, and then travel a lot. My wife and I were traveling a ton this year. Nice. Pretty much I always try to push it, and then she's like, "Oh, okay, that's a little crazy." And I'm like, we keep getting better and better, like a little bit more and a little bit more. So that's it, man. I'm just loving life and here to help anybody watching and want to get more out of their life.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, Dan. Guys, definitely go check out Dan's stuff. Really, you're gonna love it. And like I said, Dan is just a great guy. He really does care about helping people. It's obvious, from this conversation. If you meet him, if you get the chance,
dude. Here's what I'm gonna offer this community, John's community. Okay. John's gonna organize it. If you reach out to John and say you want to meet me, John will figure out either a hike, something hard, physical hard.
Oh yeah. Yes. I love it.
Yeah. Because my rule this year, and I said it to my assistant, Robin, the other day, and luckily she checked me on it because she was like, I got asked to go to this thing. And she goes, Dan, you told me at the beginning of the year, you're not saying yes to any event unless there's a physical component to it. And I was like, check. So filter that one out. But you and we're going to do something hard. And if you're watching and what I've shared with you resonates, connect with John. And he can decide who's going to join us. But not only we're going to do something hard, but I don't not talk about business. So you will literally get my coaching for free just by being around the group. So let's do that in San Diego. Yeah, kind of third week of March, depending when this goes up. And that's my gift to your community, man.
Dude, I love it. That's awesome. It's going to be fun. All right, guys. So send me an email, sign up, and get ready to bust some ass.
Get your sweat on.
Exactly. All right, Dan. Awesome, man. All right.
Good seeing you.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your long day here.
Thanks, man. We'll talk soon.
Take care.
All the best.